So I just finished counting and we have 6 babies, 4 of which look like some sort of otters. There is one pink baby who could be white or orange. Those are the most 2 common colors we usually have of pink babies. And then one baby looked like a solid either black or blue or chocolate color. There are not any major wounds, there are no dead babies or any problems that I can see. So we will cover them up with fur and then check back tomorrow. Alright, so it's the next morning. This is day 1 of the babies being alive, their first morning. Look at this full belly. And I did see quite a few full bellies in there. So most likely, Mama fed them either last night or this morning, so that's very good. So I'm going to put it back and I'll see you this evening. Okay, it is evening and let's check on the babies. Oh, hi babies! Okay, so these 5 are fine, but I found this little guy, the only pinkish one we have, far away from everyone else in the nest, and he's a little cold, he or she. It looks like he has a poopy bottom as well. So it turns out it was just poop stuck to his leg and not on his bottom. And now he is in the bowl with the rest of his babies, and we'll put him with them and he'll warm up and probably be just fine. And because it's only like 4:30, I'm not expecting them to be full because mamas usually feed babies at dawn or dusk, sometimes just dawn or just dusk. It could be like, sometimes it's the middle of the day, sometimes it's the middle of the night, but most of the time it's either dawn or dusk or both. So it's very rare for a mama to feed her babies at 4 or 5, which is about like 4:30, 4:40. So they're not fed. They don't look very fed, but that's perfectly okay. I'm going to come check on them later tonight and then see if they're fed when it's more likely that mama will do her evening feeding. Okay, so they are all back in the nest. They're all next to each other and warm, even though it's not nighttime yet. I'm going to have to come check on them again. I'm so glad I did it now because that little baby might have not made it if I hadn't have brought him back to his siblings. So we'll come check on them again later tonight. So it is after dark, and I just finished checking on the babies one last time today. And Rinna did feed them, and it looked like she pulled more fur as well. So it looks like Rinna is being a great mom this time, and there's nothing I should worry about. See you tomorrow. So it's the next morning, and I just finished taking all the babies out and checking on them. Most of them are completely empty. One of them is kind of left over full from the night before. So it's possible that Rinna hasn't fed them yet this morning, which is okay. So I will come back and check on them later today and make sure they're fed. If they're not fed, that's all right. They can miss one feeding. It might be she's feeding once a day, but she usually feeds twice a day. So we'll just have to see how this plays out. But it could be perfectly fine, but I could have reason to start worrying if she continues to not feed them. We'll just have to see. But otherwise, they're doing perfectly fine. No wounds, no dead babies, no cold babies. They have plenty of fur in their nest. None of them were away from the others. They were all nice and warm and normal in the nest, and I'm very pleased. It is now late morning, and I just finished checking on the babies to make sure they were fed. Some of them still look pretty empty, but some of them look kind of full, so it's almost like she gave them half a feeding. But I think she did feed them. I'm not sure if she got interrupted or something else happened. Maybe she isn't producing enough milk. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but some of them do look more full than they were before, so I'm not going to do anything and check back tonight and see what happens then. Okay, it's nighttime now. It's after dark, so let's see if she fed these babies. So some of them look kind of fed, like they were fed earlier this evening and have been digesting for a while. So they're not super full, but they're not super empty either. But then there are some of them that do look super empty, so that is definitely a problem. They had full bellies a few feedings ago, but now they don't. So either she isn't producing enough milk for them, or maybe she's just a negligent mama and isn't remembering to nurse them, or isn't nursing them long enough. But while some of them are getting fed, some of them aren't. So that's kind of interesting as well. Okay, so I just let Mama off of her babies. Let's see how they fared. I see a very full belly here. Look at that. That's so big. Look at you. Look at that big belly. Hooray. So we have one who's looking pretty good. Second one, kind of a full belly. Definitely not empty or shrunken, but it is not entirely full either. So kind of halfway, I'd say. Is this the same guy or a different guy? I don't know. So we have that one. This one's kind of full. This one, I'd say maybe in between halfway full and all the way full. He's pretty big, but not super huge. And then we have a very, very small one who didn't get much to drink. And then this little pink one is very runty, very small, wasn't nursing hardly at all. So while I don't want to lose an entire litter because Mama isn't nursing them, and we have had several who finally got something to eat, I'm deciding not to help these tiny little ones, even though, I did help the entire litter. So I'm going to put them all back in their nice warm nest now. The ones that got stuff to drink and were strong enough to do that will continue to thrive, hopefully. And then the ones who are too weak to thrive on their own, we won't do anything with, and we'll just let them die. We're not going to cull them right now because there is still a slight chance that they can live, even though this guy looks pretty far gone. Hi, yeah, I have your babies. You want to nurse them? You grooming them? That's so good. I can feel her tongue on my fingers. Look at you. So I feel much better, at least give them the chance to eat. So I'm going to put them back now, and we will check back tomorrow. Okay, it's the next morning. Let's see who has died, who's still alive, if they've been fed, all that. Oh. Here's a tiny little black one. He looks very, very skinny to me. Can you see how skinny and shrunken he is? 2 seems... He looks pretty full, actually. Yay! He doesn't even look full, like, from leftover last night. Maybe he's actually full from being fed this morning. We'll just have to see if anyone else looks like that. Ooh, this guy is medium skinny. Not completely shrunken like the first one, but he is definitely not as full as the second one. So I'm going to say he was fed halfway. 4 maybe looks a third full. Not halfway full. Not all the way full, but not super, super, super shrunken either. Maybe he got a little bit of milk. 5, real skinny. 2, not super crazy like that little runty black one, but pretty near there. 5, and let's see, did 6 make it? Or did it pass away? Oh. And here is tiny little 6. He or she was further away from her brothers or sisters. She kind of feels kind of cold and is very, very, very skinny. So let's see if we can get some extra food in these guys. I'm not going to force them to nurse exclusively, but I'm going to give them a chance to nurse. So just because one of them looked kind of full, or it was kind of very full, I'm guessing that that one was full left over from last night and not fed today, because it makes sense that if she fed them today, at least some more of them would be full. So we will force Rinna to feed them again this morning and then hope for the best. Alright, looks like we have pretty full bellies. Alright, Mama, you can go now. Go ahead. Jump off. Thank you. Okay, so we have 3 babies that we're nursing on Mama. We had 2 babies that looked pretty full from last feeding, so we didn't put them under her so that these guys didn't have as much competition. And these 2 black ones have pretty full bellies. I mean, look at that. That's nice. That's pretty good. It's not as full as it could be, but it definitely is better than nothing. And then this little pinky one is still not doing very good. It's cold, feeling cool to the touch, very skinny, shrunken, didn't nurse at all. So even though I put its mouth around a teat and it didn't nurse, so I don't think this one's going to make it. I've decided to put it out of its misery. It's most likely going to die, and I don't want it to die in the nest and accidentally chill the rest of the babies, and then, cause it needless suffering. So I'm going to put it down now so the other babies can stay nice and warm in their nest. I'm going to put these 2 guys back with their other 2 brothers or sisters. So we're going to have 4 babies in there all together. Alright, so I just counted and putting them back, and I double counted, and we only have 5. I know I counted, and I think this morning even I counted and there were 6. So I don't know what happened to the 6th one. Okay, it is now evening, it's after dark, and if Rinna was going to feed her babies by herself, she already would have. So let's check on them and see if she fed them. If she didn't, what's happening? Okay. 1 baby, not super full. 2 baby, nope. 3 baby, nope. And nope, so they're not full. So it looks like we're going to have to force Rinna to feed them again. So like the other 2 times, I am going to put them in my lap, then hold her on top of them, and give them a chance to nurse. So hopefully they all get full bellies, and it'll all work out well. Look at this chub, guys. He's so full. Look at you. So big. Hooray, hooray. Okay, so I just let Mama go. It looks like we have 1 huge chubster that we saw before. And then these 3 look like they aren't entirely full, but they definitely do have some milk in them. I'd say maybe more on the 3/4 side than the half side full. They had about 5 minutes to nurse, and that is ample chance. So we're going to put these guys back after wiping their bums with my finger just a little bit to stimulate them to use the restroom, and then we'll come back tomorrow. Okay, so it is the next morning, and I checked the babies. 1 of them is still super full from last night, but 3 of them aren't. So I'm only going to feed the 3 that are not full, because the 4th one doesn't need to be fed. He's already super stuffed, and he'll take up room that the other 3 might need. Or at least having a rabbit who doesn't need to be there taken away will make it easier for them to get milk. So we're just going to do the now, it seems, twice a day routine of forcing Rinna to nurse her babies. Oh boy, I didn't want this chore, but I guess I'm glad I can do it and that she isn't dead or something. Just finished nursing the babies. So all 4 of the babies are now back in their nest, and I don't know if you can see, but Rinna has been piling up bedding on either side, kind of like she's trying to bury the whole of her burrow like they would in the wild. Also, I was noticing that 1 baby who was super full that I noticed, last time I told you about already, but one of the 3 who weren't as full was actually medium amount full. So it's like almost like she went in to nurse them, and 1 of them got super full, 1 of them got medium full, and 2 of them didn't get fed. And the 2 that weren't fed this morning still don't look very fed at all. It's like they won't nurse. I held them onto teats. I let them nurse for like 6 minutes and like switched positions and flipped her on her back. That didn't work. Nothing worked, and they didn't get full. And they were sucking, and sometimes they just, not suck anymore. So I don't know if they're weak or they have an internal problem, or it could just be that she isn't feeding them and I'm assuming things, but that is a possibility now where before it probably was not. So maybe next feeding time, which should be around evening or night, I'll come and see how many are full, and I've kept a careful note in my head remembering how full each one of them was. So if any of them are more full, obviously they're going to digest throughout the day, so if they're less full or it's the same full or look like they've been fed, I might go from there. Maybe I won't force to nurse, or maybe I will. I'll just have to see. But this is making me think that maybe Rinna is nursing them on her own, and I just assumed she wasn't because there were 2 who didn't get full, but they're not getting full no matter if I try to help them or not. Just finished checking on the babies tonight, and it looks like Rinna has not fed them, so she could have fed them this morning, she could not have, but regardless of that, she didn't do it tonight, so we're going to have to force her to feed them as usual. Okay, so we finished the forced nursing, and this camera just got peed on as well, so we're glad you weren't there for that. But we have 1 chubster, kind of, and a medium-sized baby, which is good, and then this guy is also a medium size, a little bit. He's very spiny because he hasn't had milk in a while, but he has a okay-ish belly on him. And then 1 little baby, hardly got any, even though he had just as much time as the others to nurse. They've had like 5 or 10 minutes, very long time, all different positions, and I was holding them to teats and stuff, so this is the best we can do tonight. You guys, it looks like Mama fed them. It's the next morning, and they look like they have kind of full bellies. It's slightly possible that they're still leftover full from last night's feeding, but I highly doubt that because they've been digesting so long since then, and they do look pretty full. And while some of them aren't super huge, they at least have some milk in them, which is awesome. And so I think Mama fed them, so I'm not going to force her to feed them. And then hopefully she did feed them, and we'll go from there, and maybe she will continue to feed them on her own, and I don't have to force her anymore. But this is a good step in the right direction for sure. Oh my goodness, guys! Okay, sorry for the terrible lighting, but all of their bellies, all 4 babies, their bellies are super, super full, like balloons, full of milk. Rinna fed them all on her own, and all of them are super, super full, and oh, happy day, happy day. So I'm hoping that this means that she will continue to feed them all by herself, that I don't have to force her anymore, and maybe just a few times of forcing her helped remind her, or, get her into the habit of it. Or maybe she hated being forced so much that she figured, well, might as well, feed them myself. But yay, I'm so happy, and hopefully she continues to feed them all by herself. I will be checking on them twice a day as usual, and but I'm so happy. Yay! Hopefully this is the end, a happy ending to the story.